Welcome to the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Just lovely to have you along for the ride on a fine Friday morning. So the kickoff rule is weird. I knew I needed to see it, and I intentionally watched some of the Hall of Fame game, the Open, just to be like, ugh. Yeah, it's gross looking. Ugh. Now it's an eyesore. It just looks weird. It makes you feel weird. And then you watch it and you're I'll get used to it. That's pretty much how that'll go. That's my takeaway from the Hall of Fame game. That was 3 quarters. Yeah, it was 3 quarters. I was at a game that was canceled once. But anyway, that game was 3 quarters last night because of the weather. Anyway, your Philadelphia Eagles were in action last night as well. And I don't know why. I always feel surprised but never shocked. I imagine it's got to be incredible to be a first-year Philadelphia Eagle, whether you're Quentin Mitchell or you're Saquon Barkley. You're coming into Lincoln Financial Field for an open practice, and there are 50,000 people just hanging out, hanging on every pass, every run, every drill, just to come out and watch their football team in uniform running around a football field in practice. I'll spare you the rest of that rant, but we are, in fact, talking about a practice. $50K showing up for that. I should, surprised is probably the wrong word, but it just shows you just how much the city needs football. And look, the Phillies could be the Guardians won last night, so now officially official. The Phillies don't have the best record in baseball, and yes, the Phillies have been struggling, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Football is king in America. That's the way that works. And yeah, we're passionate about just about everything else, but when it comes to football, it's just far and away number one. And the example of that last night, the Orioles and the Guardians were playing last night. You know what led national media outlets? I'll give you a hint. Football Americano led national media outlets last night with a Hall of Fame game that didn't even finish. But anyway, the 50K that were down there, it sounded like a game. It sounded like a game down there for practice. And the buzz that was going on at Lincoln Financial Field really shows you the expectations also for this football team. And my expectations for the Philadelphia Eagles going into this season, they haven't even played a preseason game. They haven't even had a joint practice yet. But looking at the talent, knowing the upgrades they made in the offseason just at the coordinator positions, the stripping away of a little bit more responsibility from Nick Sirianni to people with more experience and a little bit more of a track record as well as far as being an offensive coordinator and play caller or being a defensive coordinator in that case as well with Vic Fangio. Those are huge upgrades the Eagles have made. And then, yeah, we've talked about the talent many, many times, but my expectation for the Philadelphia Eagles team, at least an NFC championship game. At least that. There's a long way to go. There's a lot that could go on. But right now, on the old paper, on the old parchment, they're a team that I expect to be in the NFC Championship game, at least. This should be a Super Bowl contending team, without question. And that fan base that showed up last night, and all the people that were watching the feed on social media as well, are hanging on every word at every press conference, hanging on every play at practice, and they're going to be hanging on every play during joint practices as well. It really does help get the buzz going, and we'll let you hear from Nick Sirianni talking about training camp yesterday. We'll let you hear from Jalen Hurts. A couple interesting things from Jalen Hurts in particular. The 95% thing, no one has followed up on that. And I know Jalen Hurts, he's talked twice now since then. So he spoke at the end of minicamp where he said the 95% different thing. Then he spoke Monday, I think it was. Wasn't asked about it. And then finally, he alludes to it in the first question of his press conference yesterday. He alludes to how different things are. He's asked specifically by Jeff McClain of the Inquirer He's asked specifically about blitzes and blitz pickup and shifting protection and what Kellen Moore's offense does differently than he's seen in the past in order to help him against the blitz, because we all know that was a huge problem for him last year. Show pressure, roll right, hopefully don't throw an interception. That's kind of how it went last year. So he was asked what difference has been made. What's the difference in this offense versus that offense with Kellen Moore? He didn't want to get into specifics, but he alluded to, when Jeff asked a follow-up question, because Jalen Hurts didn't want to get into comparisons, because if he gets into comparisons, he throws Brian Johnson, his boy, under the bus. So he doesn't want to get into comparisons between last year and this year. He's just concentrating on doing his job. So Jeff McClain asked a follow-up question. Okay, well, how much different do you feel in the offense? And he says, well, I don't want to reference that number again from earlier, but yeah, it's different. So he's alluding to the 95%. Olivia Reiner, who's a friend of the show, she's been on before, she asked a question later in the press conference. Hey, you mentioned that 95. You alluded to that 95%. How much of that 95% is still sticking? Like, is it still 95% new to you? Or over the last 6 weeks and this current week, has that been bumped up to, no, you feel pretty comfortable where it feels like only maybe 30% is new to you? And in that 30%, in the next couple of weeks leading up to the season, the 30% is now down to 0%. And it's all second nature going into the season. Jalen's answer on that was interesting. We'll let you hear from on that answer. We'll let you hear from Nick Sirianni talking about Jalen's camp so far. Jalen also shouted out a rookie yesterday. He was asked about training camp, his own training camp, and how he feels training camp is going. And it was almost like watching a politician. It was like he gave a blurb of an answer to the actual question about, hey, how are you doing, basically? Good. So anyway, this other guy, and then diverted to something else to talk about a rookie on this team that has impressed him to this point. And it was a name I did not expect. So we'll get to that conversation. A.J. Brown finally gets to tell his side of the story when it comes to his relationship with Quenyon Mitchell. Quenyon Mitchell talking that jive to A.J. Brown throughout practices, both in minicamp and now at training camp. And I love what A.J. Brown had to say. Oh, that diva. Oh, he's such a bad teammate. A.J. Brown trying to help rookies get better. Oh, that jerk. Oh, I can't stand him. Oh, man, he won't even show up to practice or minicamp or rookie camp. Oh, wait, no, he's done all those things? Oh, okay. He won't even take a rookie under his wing. Oh, no, he's done that already? Oh, okay. Yeah. A.J. Brown on his relationship with Quenyon Mitchell and how he's trying to make Quenyon Mitchell a better quarterback. I love every second of it. Tonight, 9:40, Seattle. After a lovely off day. Looked like Bryce Harper and the fam, him and his lovely wife Kayla, and their 3 children. He also had the baby Bjorn on. They were hiking, it looked like, in Seattle. Well, that's literally what they were doing. And they're just taking in the sights, man. Seattle's beautiful. Seattle's gorgeous. Okay, if you haven't been out to Seattle, take a trip. So they enjoyed the off day. I hope that was him cowboying up or whatever, he was saying the other day. I don't know what your expectations are. Hit me with your expectations in the comments, please, when it comes to what you expect from this Philadelphia Phillies team over the next 10 games. They're playing really good teams over these next 10 games. These aren't rollover teams that you just say, oh, that's a win. That's a win. I fully expected to come back from this road trip at 7-3 or whatever the case is over the next 10 games. Like, if you look at the schedule that the Phillies have in front of them right now, the 3 in Seattle, the 3 in LA, 4 in Arizona there against the Diamondbacks. These are all teams that are pretty much cooking right now in Major League Baseball. The American League right now, the Seattle Mariners just fell out of first place with the oh, come on. I'm blanking. The Astros starting to cook a little bit out there in the West. So they're actually okay. They're tied for first place now. The Mariners, I think, lost yesterday. The Astros won. Astros are 4-6 in their last 10 games. Seattle Mariners are 5-5. So it's not like they're the hottest team in baseball right now, unfortunately, for them. But yeah, 3 against Seattle, 3 against the Dodgers, 4 against the Arizona Diamondbacks. These teams are either in first place or competing heavily for first place. That's the way that looks right now. Diamondbacks are 5 games behind the Dodgers, and the Seattle Mariners and Astros are tied right now for first place in the AL West. That's the way that looks right now for the Phillies road trip coming up. What is your expectation? In all honesty, my expectation right now for this Phillies team is that they come home winners. And I know that might sound like blind optimism, but I don't think they go 7-3. I don't think they go 3-7. I think this Phillies team comes home 6-4. I know that's not great, but it's a start. And I think back to the 2022 season, and I remember the Phillies going into Arizona that year, and things just weren't coming together for them. And then finally, they found a way to win on the road. They were having, in particular, a tough time winning on the road. And this year, that's been a slight problem for the Phils. They're only 5 games over 500 on the road in general this season. And when you look at what they did when they came back from the All-Star game, it immediately came back, and they had the 6 games on the road, and they only won 2 of them. That's a little bit of a problem. But then they came back, and they struggled at home. So the problem continued. Trips like this at this point in the season can be a get-right thing for the Phils, even if it only means they go 5-5 on the road trip. I think that would help. As long as they come home winners, or 500 or winners, then I think that will help their psyche going forward. But my true expectation is that they don't blow the doors off this road trip in one way or another. I don't think they go out there and they're terrible and they only win 3 games. And I don't think they go out there and say, oh, no, they are going to reset our expectations for the entire season by establishing themselves again as an upper echelon team. To me, the only way they do that is if they continue to beat the Dodgers. Because at this point, you lost 3 out of 3 to the Yankees. You lost 2 out of 3 to the Boston Red Sox. You lost 2 out of 3 to the Baltimore Orioles. So when you're talking about facing those upper echelon, I'm sorry. Oh, and you also lost 2 of 3 to the Cleveland Guardians. So, yeah, as far as restoring your faith in the fact that they could win the World Series, it's going to be a while before they do that. But a step in the right direction would be going out there and at least being winners on this road trip. My expectations, and I don't feel like they're delusions of grandeur or anything like that, is a 6-4 road trip from this Phillies team. Those are my expectations against good teams. I don't think Seattle is a phenomenal baseball team. They're certainly not a team that has just been, taking care of business throughout the entire season, but they have been a good baseball team in what has been a weak division this year. I mean, again, you're talking about teams that are a couple of games over 500 as first-place teams in your division. So if the Phillies go out there and handle that business, that'll be a great start to that road trip. They've proven they can hang with the Dodgers. You're looking at a team that is, yes, they're going to be on their own home field. And right now, the Dodgers going into this are 14 games over 500 at home. They come into this their most recent series 63-46 on the year, but they are 14 games over 500 at home. They are 3 games over 500 on the road. There will be another test, but as we look at that series and you look at the way things should play out, pitching matchup wise, to take a gander at that, you're going to get 2 starts back to back in this Seattle series against Phillips and Allard. Allard left a lot to be desired. Obviously gave up 1 huge home run in his start against the Guardians. Left it right out over the middle of the plate, hung it up there a little bit. But other than that, it was actually okay through 4 innings. Then he got Wheeler and Nola going. Then he got Sanchez back on the hill. Then Phillips is slated to go again. Then we'll see whether or not you can get Ranger Suarez back in the swing of things. But it's set up that you're going to have Nola and Sanchez pitch in that Dodgers series. And then Phillips hopefully continues his strong start to his MLB career. 3-0 with 3 starts, not too shabby. Nipping 3 game losing streaks in the bud. That's a stopper, baby. Hopefully Phillips keeps that going. And then he can keep that kind of success going, hopefully, against the Arizona Diamondbacks as well. But it's going to be a tall order for this Phillies ball club. I don't know where your confidence is. I will check the chat earlier than usual to see where you guys are at when it comes to that. Because my confidence level at them restoring the World Series confidence in this road trip, it's not there. But overall, my confidence in this Phillies team, I think, is going to be boosted after this road trip. That's my outlook on it. All right, let's get into your Philadelphia Eagles. One of the main things we outlined a couple days ago was Jalen Hurts, obviously, and the things he needs to do to improve in this upcoming season. And if you're Kellen Moore, what are you saying to Jalen Hurts immediately? Hey, look, these are the things that we're going to get better at. Picking up blitz, sure. Avoiding the blitz, sure. Facing the pressure, stepping up in the pocket, sure. But cutting down on turnovers, we all agree, is the number one thing. I'll rank it champion, number one, above, far and away, above everything else. Cut down on turnovers. Yesterday, Jalen Hurts, I don't think he wants that mindset. And I know he's going to get asked about it. You know he's going to get asked about it. We all know he's going to get asked about it. But when he's talking about turnovers, he kind of takes exception to it. And it's like, yeah. Like, the way I took this answer was, that's last year. Don't put turnovers in my head. Because that'll just make me regress. I don't want to do that. Here's Jalen Hurts when he was asked about cutting down on turnovers for the upcoming season.
I think the focus has been just for me to do my job and do it to the best of my abilities. Understand what I'm being asked to do, have conversations about that, and then go out there and do it. And so I just keep the focus there, keep the focus on going out there and try to execute, what we're doing.
It's that easy. It's that easy. He didn't go into details about, focusing on his receivers. He didn't go into details about feeling pressure. He just went into the way I took it. Yeah, I think the Eagles are tired of a couple of things. One, Jalen Hurts and turnovers. Two, the end of the year collapse. As much as fans are very eager to turn the page on that, can you imagine being a player that actually went through that and you had this thought of, we're in a great position to get the number one seed. We're in a great position to get the NFC Championship game again, and then all of a sudden, you suck. you can't do anything right. Quicksand. Like you can't do anything right. Okay. So I get a sense from players that they're done talking about the end of the year collapse. I get a sense from Jalen Hurts that he's done talking about turnovers, but the best way that we can all agree is the best way to stop talking about turnovers is to not turn it over and to just be awesome. And we're not going to know that until the season starts. And I got a lot of optimism about it, but we're not going to know it until the season starts. So here's that question I was mentioning earlier from Olivia Reiner of Inquirer.com about the 95%. When Jalen Hurts started the press conference off, he was first asked by Jeff McClain about picking up blitz and how he's going to react to the blitz and what this offense does to help you with the blitz. One of the things that he got into as far as that went was how things are so different. And he said, I don't want to reference the number I've referenced before, but yeah, things are very different. So that implies that the way they're going to deal with the blitz this year is far different than what Jalen Hurts has done before, maybe even 95% different. Now, he did not say 95% again, but here's Olivia Reiner following up saying, hey, you alluded to the 95% again. Where are you at right now as far as how new this offense seems to you?
Yeah, it's just been a thing of constant communication, open dialogue, and really just hearing each other out. And, it comes down to executing and how this group executes, and that's the beauty of this game. When you have a lot of different people coming from different parts, different places and different experiences, and the goal at hand is to find out how we can be the best that we can be, this team. So I think we've been putting a great effort there. We're not where we're going to be, but we're taking it day by day. We're taking it day by day. We're hungry to clean up the little things and continue to work on the operation, be in and out and move urgently. And, all of those things really consist of being on the same page. So just being great in our communication all around.
I don't think we're ever going to get another number from Jalen Hurts. I don't think we're going to get 95. Now I'm about 50. I'd say I'm about 40. Now I'm about 20. Now I'm about 17%. Now I'm about 5.7% in terms of what seems new to me and what's second nature. I don't think we're going to get that again from him. I think he looked in the mirror after that and went, Like kind of like Howie Roseman after he said quarterback factory. He's like, not really the way I should have put that. Didn't really illustrate for people how I really felt. Kind of gave him the wrong picture. But either way, Jalen Hurts is looking at it as they're going to continue to grow. This is a couple of months they've been together. Him and Kellen Moore, even smaller in terms of actually being out there on the practice field, running what they're supposed to be running for the upcoming season, getting ready for the upcoming season. So it's going to be that learning curve. It's going to be that communication to help drive points home. As far as his training camp, by all accounts. Now, I'm going to switch this up for a second. I want you to hear from Nick Sirianni first, because here's his latest assessment of Jalen Hurts when it comes to the training camp that he's put together to this point.
Yeah, you guys have seen, like, he's been sharp. He's been really sharp, and been really happy with how he's been operating. He's been in complete control of the offense, and he's really operated at a really high level and knowing where to go with the football, making accurate throws, moving in the pocket to buy extra time, or whatever, or if it turns into a run. So he's had an outstanding camp. We're early in camp. I know he wants to just continue to improve. We just want him to continue to improve one day at a time. But thus far, he's had a really good camp, and I'm really excited about where he is.
Does it seem like it's a big difference from what he was doing in the spring, what you're seeing?
It's just continued growth of getting better every day. And so, and I've really seen that from him.
There you go. All right. So improving. He's really seen that from him. Great. You just heard how locked in Jalen Hurts appears to be to his head coach. And he even said, you guys have been there at practice. You guys have seen him. Haven't thrown an interception yet. Jalen Hurts yesterday got asked about interceptions at camp. You haven't thrown an interception yet at camp, Jalen. Like, if you're Jalen Hurts, you're going, you guys are keeping track of that? And I think everyone knows at this point that, yeah, they're keeping track of that. But he got asked about not throwing an interception in practice. I love this town. But one of the other things that he got into yesterday when he was asked to assess his own performance at training camp thus far, he didn't go on and on about how great he feels. He didn't go on and on about himself at all. He talked about Jalen Hurts' favorite subject. Jalen Hurts' favorite subject is work. And the product you get from work, which is called success. And when he was asked to assess his own training camp to this point, having not thrown an interception and getting nothing but praise from people, or people at least acknowledging his progression in the new offense and feeling as confident as he can in an offense that just six weeks ago was 95% different. Well, now 7 weeks ago, 95% different. Here's how he assessed his own practice.
I think, the goal is to put the work in. You want to put the work in and let the work have confidence in the work, rather. Put the work in and have confidence in the work. And, I'll give you an example of that and how that showed up. We did one-on-ones the other day, and there was, Johnny Wilson shows up and makes 2 big-time catches, but, I tell him it's no surprise when you prepare, for those situations, and you put the time in like that in the offseason, and you spend that quality time together, so it shows. And there are a ton of other guys, out there showing up and making plays as well. But I think it comes down to the work. And so, all you want to do is quantify your work, find out what you want to improve on, master it, strive to master it, and then keep pressing forward.
All right. I don't know how Johnny Wilson's name entered the fray, but I found it very interesting that Johnny Wilson's name entered the fray. That when he talked about hard work and about getting on the same page as everybody else and putting in the work with his new offensive coordinator and learning everything and apparently excelling at training camp with this 95% new offense, he thought, oh, well, yeah, you got to work. And, I'll give you an example. Johnny Wilson. Thought that was interesting. If you're Johnny Wilson, you're like, oh, damn, I got a shout out from Jalen. All right. Not bad for a 4th round pick. Atta fella. Guy competing to be the 3rd running back on this squad. That's an honor. That's got to make you feel pretty damn good. But I love that it wasn't about him. He was asked about him, and he didn't make it about him. I think in Jalen's mind, all he has to do is go out there, and he's got all he has to do. All he has to do is go out there and just play well. None of this matters. Like, I always get the sense through press conferences, unless there's something really pressing. For instance, the first question he was asked of training camp about his relationship with Nick Sirianni after that nothing burger he gave to Martin Frank of Delco Times. Hey, you're Nick Sirianni, adaptability. I don't know what to say to that. Like, couldn't say something nice about his head coach. So obviously that put out there a pretty bad vibe. People got a pretty bad vibe, pretty negative vibe when it came to the head coach of this football team and his starting franchise quarterback. So when he got asked about it right out of the gate at training camp, let me on that. Let me just talk about that. On that. Like, he was almost excited. Like, he had great intent of giving this answer. But when it came to talking about himself, he just wants to go out there and show that he understands what's going on around him, with just about everything being different now as far as the scheme and play calling. And I found it interesting also, as I followed through the press conference, that many times he pointed out what I'm asked to do. When it came to picking up blitzes, what I'm asked to do. When it came to turnovers, doing what I'm asked to do. So that led its way into, to get away from Johnny Wilson for a second, but that led its way to this. Last year, I had talked many times when we talked about blame, when it came to the turnovers, when it came to a stale offense, when it came to a lack of production, especially late in the season, it came to predictability. When it came to that, time and time again, I mentioned this quad of blame for the Eagles. Like, not just Jalen Hurts. Like, I know a lot of times people just want to look at Jalen Hurts and just look at the quarterback in general and be like, why would you do that? That sucks. But if that's what you're told to be doing, it kind of complicates things. I thought last year was a great example of way too many cooks in the kitchen. And the kitchen was Jalen Hurts' head. Jalen Hurts should be the only cook in that kitchen with influence from some other people, but the decisions have to be made by Jalen Hurts. He's the guy on the field pulling the trigger. So when you look at it like this, the quad of blame that I would always talk about was, one, obviously Jalen Hurts. That's the most obvious. He's the one that might be making the mistake on the field, or is making the mistake on the field. After that, I would look at Brian Johnson, the play caller, and then I would look at Nick Sirianni, the guy that's supposed to be, at the time, game planning all of this. And then I would look at the front office, and I look at the analytics and what the analytics are saying to do, and Jeffrey Lurie, how much of an emphasis Jeffrey Lurie has had on the pass. And going back to the story from years ago with Doug Peterson in Green Bay beating the Packers at Lambeau, and after the game, Jeffrey Lurie, why would you pass so much? Why would you pass? Why would you pass so? Why? I'm sorry. Why didn't you pass? Why'd you run so much? Because it was working. Yeah, but why didn't you pass? Because it wasn't working. Oh, that's weird. This quad of blame between Jalen, offense coordinator, head coach, and front office, it was too many cooks. With Jalen Hurts this year, one of the things I have noticed that's a repeating theme is the phrase, what I'm asked or coached to do. So I hope that with the experience that he's got now, I would hope that a guy who's played in the Super Bowl, a guy that's been in the MVP running over the last two seasons, the only person more in the running than him has been Patrick Mahomes. I would hope that he's got the wherewithal, and I hope that he has the power to understand that he can make his own decisions on the football field. And what it sounds like to me is that with Kellen Moore's offense, and obviously the weapons that he has now as well, the world is his oyster. There'll be things in this offense to help him with the blitz, so he's not forced into making a mistake. There'll be things in this offense that will help those wide receivers get open. Little thing called motion. We don't know it too well in Philadelphia. We don't see it too well or too much and too often in Philadelphia, but the rest of the NFL really enjoys it. The Eagles last year rated less than anybody. And like, I equate motion to to boxing, especially a first round in boxing, where you're kind of feeling the opponent out a little bit, seeing how he reacts to your jab, seeing how he reacts to this. You're just kind of feeling him out. I mean, do we even got to go further back than the Super Bowl against the Chiefs 2 years ago? Little motion, see what they're doing. Oh, okay, that's what they're doing. They're not going to react to that, so then I'm going to do this. It's a great you're getting guys open before the snap, essentially. And the Eagles are like, nah, it's not that helpful. Yeah, I'm not going to use it. It's not that helpful. Yeah, okay. You should be using it. It's pretty awesome. And Kellen Moore using that in this offense. And then still keeping in mind the idea of embracing the uniqueness of Jalen Hurts' game when it comes to his mobility. All of that's going to be wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I can't wait to actually see it. And I know that we're going to have to wait till Brazil, but I can't wait to actually see it go out there on the football field. And I know we're going to go through a stale training camp and all that stuff and a stale preseason, but can't wait for week 1. Can't wait for Brazil and São Paulo. Now back to the Johnny Wilson thing. When they had camp at Lehigh, there was always a Mr. Lehigh. And now, unfortunately, I think you just got to call him Mr. Training Camp. The Eagles have certainly had some Mr. Training Camps. Rashad Bailey comes to mind as one of them. I go as far back as Hank Baskett was like the first Mr. Lehigh I remember. And then ever since then, I just always remember there's like one standout guy. Oh, this guy, you don't know about this guy, but you got to know about this guy. Johnny Wilson seems to be an early running. Now, you can't be a first-round pick, so Quentin Mitchell, I'm not going to go there. But as far as if you got to name a Mr. Training Camp so far, Johnny Wilson might be getting the love. I mean, he get a shout-out unsolicited from his franchise quarterback. And his franchise quarterback, I love this because what it is, it's not about necessarily the training camp success, but it's a matter of getting something out of your work. And what Jalen Hurts highlighted there in that latest clip I played for you was Johnny Wilson puts in the work. Like, you want to get people's attention, the more veteran people's attention on the team, more veteran players' attention, whether it's at your work or whether it's at the NovaCare complex with the Eagles. You want to get people that have been there for a while. You want to get their attention. You work your ass off. And I'm like, oh, that kid over there is working his ass off. Okay. All right. Maybe he can stay. I see he wants to win. It reminds me of the old Kobe Bryant story of Kobe not trusting his teammates in the last minute of the games. Because he's like, wait a minute, I was at the gym before you. I was at the gym after you. And I went to the gym 2 more times after you left. Why should I trust you when you're not putting in the work I'm putting in? All right. Jalen Hurts seems to really like the work ethic, at least to Johnny Wilson, and he likes the work ethic so much that it's not just about the work he's putting in, it's about the results his work is bearing. And that's what Jalen Hurts was talking about with that compliment. He's talking about putting in the work on his own, right? Because he was asked about how he's doing, and he's talking about, yeah, it's just a matter of putting in the work. So, yeah, he's putting in the work. He's punching the clock, and Johnny Wilson is doing the same thing. I just love that he was on the top of his mind. And when it comes to big catches in camp, when it comes to catching the ball out of the backfield, Johnny Wilson apparently is turning some heads in that regard. I love to hear that. The other big story from training camp so far, and even going back to mini camp, is the trash that Quentin Mitchell wants to talk with A.J. Brown. I love this. I didn't, as far as I knew, the whole thing started at minicamp when Quentin Mitchell said to A.J. Brown after they were teamed up against or matched up against one another, that was a trash route. Quentin Mitchell, the rookie, first rounder, said to A.J. Brown that was a trash route. And A.J. took that as, I know we mentioned this yesterday, but A.J. took that as like, all right, Rook, you barely even say hi to me, and now you just want to talk that trash? All right. So A.J. Brown got asked about that yesterday. And he got asked about the battles that they've had. And they've only been matched up 2 or 3 times so far in training camp, but how that ends up happening. John McMullen, our friend John McMullen, asked the question of A.J. Brown about whether or not coaches are pairing Quentin Mitchell up with A.J. Brown, or is A.J. Brown making that happen himself? Here's A.J.'s answer.
Kind of get that feeling?
No, that's not by design. That's me kind of picking a fight with him, trying to get him going. You know, like he says, he like to talk trash at me, but I'm just picking a fight with him to make practice very interesting. But He's not phased. And that's really well because guys are going to talk. I'm not even a talker on the field, but guys are going to talk, and and he has to compete, and he has been doing a great job, and we've been battling on the one-on-ones, and yeah.
God awful teammate AJ Brown. What a diva. Can you believe this jerk? He's trying to go up against a teammate that started talking jive to him, and he's only having fun with it as opposed to getting pissed off. Oh, God, he's despicable. Oh, is he going to match up against that rookie, that highly touted rookie in camp, just to try to make him better? Yeah? Oh, God, he's the worst. Is he smiling throughout the whole thing? Yeah. For the people on the podcast, I feel like I haven't said this for a while. AJ Brown is awesome. And AJ Brown was smiling throughout that entire answer. You got to love it. I don't know how you don't love it. I love it. I love every second of it. And I love that that's only going to make Quentin Mitchell better. And I don't know if you guys have been following, but Eagles kind of need a corner to step up this year. Whether it's Keely Ringo, whether it's Quentin Mitchell, whether it's whoever, the Philadelphia Eagles need a corner to step up. James Bradbury's playing safety for crying out loud. They need someone else to step up. I don't know how you hate that guy. I don't know how anyone hates that guy. I looked at there's some list that came up in my scroll yesterday of like biggest diva receivers. And I'm like, this is the lazy. Like, first off, a lot of lists are just clickbait, attention getters and seekers and all that stuff. And they do their job. People love lists. I get it. But with AJ Brown, I like the diva wide receiver thing to me is the easiest narrative to just throw against the wall and have be right. Because you're always going to look like a diva. The receivers only see that they're open. They don't see how much the defensive line is in the face of the quarterback at that time. Like, it's an easy thing. Any wide receiver with an opinion, is that a diva? Because that seems pretty lazy. Oh, he thinks you should get the ball more. Oh, how dare he think he should help the team? Anyway. Yeah, I loved everything. As far as actual practice went, everything's coming together. Landon Dickerson, Eagles are obviously managing. Mekhi Becton out there at the guard spot. Oh, one more thing that Jalen Hurts did talk about was, and I've always said this, and my dear friend Trey Thomas told me hogwash and poppycock with my opinion on this. But I'm like, guys are ginormous at the guard position. Doesn't that make things harder for a quarterback? Oh, stop with that. Jalen Hurts was like, yeah, it's kind of hard. Like, I expected when he got asked the question about having a guy it's like 6'8" playing the guard spot, Jalen Hurts was asked about if that's going to be difficult for a quarterback to kind of throw over that guy or throw around that guy. And Jalen, I expected Jalen, because hogwash and poppycock. I expected Jalen to be like, no, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal at all. Jalen Hurts was like, yeah, it's a big deal. But he didn't say that. He's just alluded to the idea that, yeah, it's difficult. Anyway. Yeah. Crowd had their oohs and ahs. Devontae Smith has really jumped out to another great camp, to a really good camp, like really turning heads. AJ Brown also talked about yesterday how Devontae Smith, he's expecting a bigger year from Devontae Smith. And Jalen was talking about Devontae just always seeming fast, but this year he seems quicker, Devontae Smith. So good reports on Devontae Smith. Good plays yesterday at practice by Devontae Smith. Isaiah Rodgers is also taking some command of the defense, which I found interesting. I don't know how to take that. I still don't see him as the starting corner opposite Darius Slay, but okay. And then a story came out also of Devin White. We played the clip for you last week. I found it very interesting about Devin. This story is about Devin White being a leader on the defense. He's your starting middle linebacker right now. If you're making a depth chart, he's your starting middle linebacker. The only competition really is who's going to be starting opposite him, or excuse me, on his, on the field with him. Zach Bond seems to be the early favorite. Nakobe Dean needs to get himself healthy and get back on the football field, but he's also a guy competing for that spot. Devin White, when he was doing his first press conference of the training camp, he had talked about his relationship with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. And he took it upon himself before training camp, the day before training camp, to go out there and text those guys and say, hey, let's keep pouring into this glass, and text them a picture of a glass. Let's keep pouring into this glass as the season, or excuse me, as training camp goes on, and keep getting better and better and better. And that's something that I thought was rather ballsy for a rookie. Or excuse me, not a rookie, a first-year player with this team. Like, he comes in, automatically assumes a leadership role. I guess he looked around the defense and went, well, at the linebacker spot, we don't have a leader, so that's going to be me. So, yeah, I would assume that he is not afraid of taking on the leadership role. What? Did you go outside? Come on in. Do you want to show everyone what Grammy got me?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It was outside.
It was outside. Why did you go outside?
Because I wanted to get this.
You wanted to get this outside. All right. You want to say hello to everybody? Say hello.
Hello.
All right. My in-laws, who are not from Philadelphia, they're originally from Cleveland, and they see stuff that has Philadelphia sports on it, and they buy it for me. Little knickknacks, like from a Home Goods or a Marshalls. Is Marshalls still around? Is Target still around?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you. Okay, Target. Anyway, so they saw this at a store.
Yeah.
This is a. You want to tell them what it is?
It's a Phillies candle.
It's a 76ers candle. The basketball team Daddy watches. It's a 76ers candle, and
And vanilla.
it is vanilla. I never knew it was vanilla.
Mm.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Daddy.
Yes, sweetheart.
And get a pink chair for me.
You want a pink chair for your room?
Yeah, but Leo has one and you have
Leo doesn't have a pink chair in his room.
No, but
Leo has a chair in his room. It used to be in your room. The glider. We used to rock you to sleep on that.
But I don't want it now.
All right. Take that back upstairs. All right. See you in a minute. Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Whenever she comes down, I always think of my buddy Joe, who lives out in Pittsburgh now, and he always texts me. He's just like, I'm not making fun of you. Jeez. And he's just like, it's so fun to hear you dad on your show. I didn't say anything wrong. All right. Hit the bricks, toots. Eventually, I'll put a door on the studio. Eventually. Anyway. So, yeah, the Eagles. How about that, huh? All right. I want your predictions. I'm going to go, before I do sponsors, I want to go into the chat and see if you guys have any predictions for me for this Eagles, little MacGyver, little Toots, IBH, what's going on? No tackling. Yeah, there's no tackling. That's true. Little Toots. Little Toots. April. Oh, that's great. Daz looks like her pops. Yeah, she's having trouble growing the beard, though. That's the only thing. Oh, I took Leo to get a haircut yesterday. I finally took him. I broke down. My son's 2.5. We broke down finally. I was taking him to my old barber, and he was just going like it's not a kid barber. It's not a kid's barber shop. That's my mistake. We took him there 3 times. He got progressively my son got progressively worse. So finally we took him to a place where he got to sit in a toy car. And this Eastern European lady cut his hair, and she was awesome. And I think he was really enamored by her accent. And he just sat there, and she cut her hair, or she cut his hair, and he was great. And big dad day for me yesterday. Then I went to Sarcone's, picked up some fresh bread to go down to Maryland with, so I can make some nice chicken called sandwiches. Or as my butcher says, show him. We're going to show him. You're going to show him? Oh, I'm going to show him. Yeah. But Emmanuel, yeah, she does. She's a Farzetta. My son, Leo, he pulled a lot of his mom's genes. Like, she's got light hair and blue eyes, but she got my face. Like, I'll never forget, she used to go to a Spanish immersion school in Philly, just because we're suckers for culture, and it was a really good school, and we wanted to learn a little Spanish. And I'll never forget the first day we didn't have masks on. The nice Spanish teacher, she looks at me and she goes, "Emanuela?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm Emmanuela's dad." She goes, "Yeah, oh my God, same face." Oh my God, same face. So just like that. It was so beautiful. It was so perfect. And she started laughing. I started laughing. It was hilarious. Anyway, oh my God, same face. I'll never forget that. But yeah, she is an escape artist. And she shouldn't be going outside. Not this early in the morning. Anyway. All right. Predictions for the Phillies. Do I have any numbers in here? You guys giving me any numbers? What are your expectations for the Phillies? What's going on here? What are your numbers? No predictions for your Phils? Oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious. Wait, hold on a second. I just saw something that I have to double check. Oh, wait. Oh, I was thinking of Shipley. Damn it. I was thinking of Shipley. Johnny Wilson is a receiver, 6th-round pick. Was it Sean that hit me up with that? I was thinking of Shipley. My apologies. Johnny Wilson, yeah, I apologize. My bad. Let's start it off. Sean Gillespie, what's up? Good morning. IBH, good morning. Twiz, what's popping? Chad, what's going on? April. K. Raleigh Crawley, what's going on? Dev, what's going on? Morning Farzy, still working hard. Of course. Crazy, the stadium was full last night. That's right, you were there. Love this team, love this city. Great vibes. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? Good morning, Farzy, good morning. Johnny Wilson hype. Looks real. Let's jokes do. Kid is a... Wait, what? Hype looks real. Let's jokes do. Kid is big, but had a lot of drops. Nothing the jug machine can't fix, in my opinion, Farzy. Let's hope so. April, didn't take long for the Orioles to drop Pache down. How about that? IBH, this road trip is hard to predict, but it'll probably be an indicator of whether they can rescue the carnage they seem to have lost. I saw David Murphy of the Inquirer posted a story earlier this morning about Bryce Harper's slump not being as bad. I'll read for you an excerpt. So he kind of lists why it's not as bad as it seems. Like, for instance, here's one line from it. The fate of the batted balls is not entirely up to chance. Bad luck is a crutch too often leaned upon when evaluating baseball performance. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure bad luck can have a hand in it. It's like that's why baseball players are so superstitious. But here's his overall point. And he literally says, here's the point. If you assume Harper's batting average mostly as a result of the factors outside of his control, hitting a ball at a fielder rather than an open patch of grass, you can project that the Phillies would have scored 4 or 5 more runs during these last 17 games in a more neutral luck environment. Keep in mind, they've lost 4 games by 1 run. I won't show you the math so as not to infect you with my sickness. Believe me, though, I did it. So in other words, he's looking at the idea of something that I am not looking at. I've considered, but it hasn't occurred to me that like Bryce Harper is just unlucky right now. There have been, to David Murphy's point, and I do agree to an extent, that there have been instances where he has hit the ball hard, but it's been right at the first base bag. That's happened. Or the 6th inning of yesterday or 2 days ago when he just got under a fly ball just got under one that was a fly ball to the warning track in right field. Certainly there's luck involved. That might be one thing that I disagree with, that luck is a thing in baseball. That's why people look a lot more at on-base percentage than they do batting average, more so now than they ever have. I am still very much in the school of, no, batting average definitely matters. And I've heard too many times people argue, well, batting average doesn't matter. It's all about on-base percentage. And I'm like, that's dumb. That's my response to that. That sounds stupid. What you just said sounds stupid to me because it certainly matters. But as far as the batting average goes, yeah, it also shows that's why I do believe in the launch angle, exit velo. Evan Macy of Philly Voice explained it to me, just talking about, well, it's good to know how hard they're hitting the ball, right? I'm like, nah, that is a fair point. Because it shows that you're barreling up, your timing's good and all that stuff. It's just not landing. And as I have said before with Bryce Harper, there was other instances earlier in the year, one in particular, that I believe was at the end of May, where it was Bryce Harper barreling balls up, hitting the balls on the screws, but they were just right at second base. They were right at first base. They were dead center field, deepest part of the park. Like, you could tell that he was just about to break out of it. And that's when he went on his MVP run that helped him get into the MVP conversation up until a couple weeks ago. But he really talks about 11 hits since he returned from the IL, 11 for 60 since he returned from the injured list. And he talks about, hitting the ball where they are as opposed to hitting the ball where they ain't. So there are definitely elements of the story that I agree with. But as far as how long this has taken, it is a slump. Like, the only question is how long you think this slump is going to last. And I haven't seen much from Bryce Harper lately. Like, has he hit a couple balls on the screws? Yeah. Have they been at guys? Yeah, they have been. But I haven't seen anything that makes me look at this season that Bryce Harper has had so far and maybe go, oh, no, he's about to break out of it. Rob Thompson said the opposite the other day. I think he's trying to be optimistic for a star player. I think Bryce Harper will break out of it. I just haven't seen any signs yet. Maybe the day off does it. Maybe it starts today, but I haven't seen any indication so far from Bryce Harper that's made me go, nope, he's going to break out of it. It's right around the corner. He's right there. I haven't felt like that yet. But yeah, I would agree, IBH, that it is tough to look at it and make a prediction. Sean Kilrain, my outlook is just win, baby. Next man up mentality. IBH, road trip hard to predict. Twiz, too many games to worry about. Little slide, but we need to be around 500 in the stretch. There we go. Win a damn series. Hell yeah. Mike, welcome to the party, pal. Nice to have you. Happy Friday, Mark. Good folks. Eagles practice kicked ass. 500,000 repping the best fans in the NFL. There you go. Sean Gillespie, damn, Jalen looks like a tired father in his late 30s. That is pretty funny. Twiz, thank you. You're the one that told me 6-rounder. I was thinking of Shipley. I'm an idiot. Jason A., the quad of blame again. Lord have mercy. I know, right? Okay, Riley, why am I excited to see what Sills says about Dean? Am I sick? You might be sick. I don't know what he's been saying about Nakobe Dean, but I'm sure it hasn't been positive because Nakobe Dean hasn't given us any reason to be positive as of late. Damn, on point with Lori Farzy. Thank you, Sean. I try. Oh, Nay Brown. Nay Brown was a great Mr. Lehigh. Twiz, Wilson just needs to work on focusing on making the easy catches. He'll make the ridiculous catches look easy and drop routine balls. Hopefully he's on the jugs machine after practice. Let's go, buddy. 2 babies crying about Dean already? Who's crying? Nobody's crying. You shut up. Womp womp. Twiz, don't sleep. What the hell is going on here? Ba-ba-dee. Oh, what's Joey saying? I missed a comment from Joey. What, my buddy Joe? Joe's no casual. Here's the Little Toots comments. Here's where she entered the chat. Charles Martin, Super Bowl or bust. That's how I'm feeling. Actually saw Hurts pick up blitzes and dump off to Barkley. Shocking. Huge strides already. Love it. Daz, motions and blitz pickup? Already impressed with Kellen. April, you look like your dad too. Nothing wrong with that. No, nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, April, I've heard this from many people. The bread is so much different, and I mean it's true. The bread is so different outside the Philly area. I brought back 2 rolls of Del Buenos in Jersey. They are almost gone. I'm sad. I mean, I've been all over the country, and I don't say that as a brag. I'm just saying this to validate my opinion. I've been all over the country. There is no better bread than New York, Philly, Boston, men's. But there's no better bread. I mean, for me, Philly is the best bread. Like I've ever. The only bread, and this is a true story, the only bread I've ever had that rivaled Philadelphia, like really, like, oh damn, this might be better. And even outside, I'll even say this: New York, Philly, Boston, Philly, New York, then Boston in that category, and then it's like the rest of the country is 10 miles below. Like the best is in our little metropolis. The only bread I've had that's rivaled those 3 places, with Philly being number 1, is Germany. And the bread was fantastic in Italy. Bread was fine in Ireland, whatever. But every food I had in Peru was awful, except for trout. Trout was really good. But bread in Germany, holy Lord, that is some good stuff. I don't know what they're putting in that bread. Damn, man. Some good stuff. But Philly bread, man, above all. Here we go. John, what's going on, John? John Gerald, what's going on? John T. Gerald. Probably the Phillies are going to have a record of 7 losses and 3 wins in their 10-game road trip. Just being honest. Sean, all good, man. Crowley wanted a different style defensive coordinator. So has Gannon never had our safeties out of the screen? I remember safeties dropping back pretty damn far. Daz, baseball is crazy. Guys go through slumps all the time, so some never come out of it. But Harper doesn't worry me a bit. I'd say I'm kind of close to that range. April would love 7 wins on the road trip, but 6 seems more likely. Yeah, I'm still very much in the 6 range. Formica's down AC is the best bread in the world. All right, Jerry. I'll give it a shot. I'll give that a shot. I think every time I'm around my family, particularly some of my older relatives, cousin Joey would talk about this all the time. He'd be like, this is what I'm going to do. When I retire, I'm going to get a bread truck. And I'm going to drive bread from Philly to Baltimore every day. That's what he would always say. I'm just going to make a killing on the bread. He never did, unfortunately. Sorry, Baltimore. Corey be hiking. Enjoy hiking, Corey. Or I'm sorry, Coach Corey be hiking. There we go. Enjoy hiking. Have you watched the show Alone on History Channel? It's actually on Hulu too, and Netflix. But that's a great program. That was my All-Star break show that I am now hooked on. The show Alone. Just dropping these people off, these survivalists, Well, one guy's an accountant. Anyway, they drop these people off in like the middle of Vancouver Island, which is like desolate. Then there's another place they dropped them off in Patagonia. I'm watching a season right now where like people lost before and now they're back. For season 4 or 5, whatever season I'm on. I think they're on season 5. And it's like redemption, alone, redemption. And you know where they dropped them off? The middle of Mongolia. And I love when they drop them off and they tell these survivor people, they're like, hey, good luck. Survive as long as you can. By the way, they're venomous snakes and bears and wolves. And they're like, okay. And then they sleep their first night under a tarp. This one lady, she slept just on the ground. And they just told her, like, there's vipers. And she's like, oh, I think I'll take a nap. I'm like, I would build a fortress immediately. I mean, that'd be the one thing I know I could do is build a safe structure as my shelter. You know? That'd be the one thing I knew I could do. I could fish. I know I could fish. And then I've said this before on the show, but I like my odds against a bear or a wolf versus me against a mushroom. Like, I know I would pick the wrong mushroom. I'd reach a state of starvation where I'd be like, oh, no, that mushroom's totally fine. And then I'd eat the wrong mushroom, and then I'd die. That would be it. And then a bear would eat me or a wolf. But, yeah. And then they're, like, waking up under their tarps, and they're like, I think I hear a pack of wolves. Oh, that'll put me to sleep. And I'm like, are you crazy? Start a fire or something. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, cool. You guys have seen the show. All right, awesome. Dad's seen the show. Coach Corey's seen the show. There we go. Oh, wait, hold on. Coach Corey. Started hiking 3 years ago. Each year I had 100 miles. I add 100 miles on my goal. Oh, that's pretty cool. This year is 300 miles. I'm almost at 200. So there you go. Good for you, man. I started hiking 8 years ago, and I immediately stopped. Like, I never did it again. That was the end of it. Oh, this is cool. End game is to do the entire Appalachian Trail, Georgia to Maine. That's pretty cool. Good for you. Take a couple steps for me. You know what I'm saying? Take a couple steps for me. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motor Cars, SkyMotorCars.com. Phillies, 9:40 tonight. For those that have subscribed to Locked On Sports Philadelphia, and you have subscribed to watch me do Phillies postcasts, I will be doing the show tonight because we're driving down to Maryland, so my brother-in-law's. I will be doing the show from my brother-in-law's very famous carport tonight. So don't miss it. It'll be a real humdinger. I'll be watching the game from down there, and then I'll be coming to you guys live from my brother-in-law's carport for Locked On Philadelphia, Locked On Sports Philadelphia's postcast of your Philadelphia Phillies, hosted by yours truly. So don't miss it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend if we don't talk, but hopefully you guys catch me on the postcast on Locked On Sports Philadelphia's YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to The Farzy Show. Like and subscribe to the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Like and subscribe to Jacob Media YouTube channel as well. Catch you guys hopefully tonight, a late one, after the Phillies beat the Mariners. That's the way I'll say it. If not, see you guys Monday. Bye.